Good morning and welcome to Top Story. French Foreign Minister Benard Kouchner has arrived in Bogota to try and restore the dialogue between Colombia, Venezuela and Ecuador. This is France's latest initiative to try and secure the release of Franco-Colombian hostage Ingrid Betancourt. And let's put it this way, this is a very delicate mission. In a statement, the FARC rebels, who've held Betancourt in the jungle since 2002, have said they wouldn't release any more hostages. And they repeated they wanted to negotiate directly with President Chavez of Venezuela. This is just the kind of prospect Colombia categorically opposes. So caught in the crossfire of regional politics, can Benard Kouchner persuade Uribe to change his mind? Or is this simply, as some suggest, mission impossible? Well, to discuss all this, I'm now joined by Patrick Jarraud, Editor-in-Chief at the French daily Le Monde. Monsieur Jarraud, good morning and welcome for joining us. Tell us, is this really mission impossible for Mr. Kouchner?
I think it's a very difficult mission for the reasons you mentioned. Basically, the opposition of President Uribe to any negotiation with the FARC, and the fact that President Chavez of Venezuela, who is viewed as the most reliable mediator for that negotiation, just said that he has no more connection on the FARC side, as his connection has been, as he said, pulverized. So it's a very tough call for French Minister Kouchner. I think he's in a position to be kind of facilitator or mediator there between Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, and of course the FARC. And that is where his talent, his ability to invent solutions where there apparently is none, that will be put at the challenge he has to face.
And this new mission comes a couple of weeks after a plane that had been sent by France, a plane with medication, had to go back to France. This mission was a failure, so again, very tricky moment.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of April that the plane was sent there. It was actually the second time in history that France was sending a plane there, because former Foreign Minister Villepin in 2003 already sent a plane to try to secure
the release of Ingrid
the release of Ingrid Betancourt. It failed. So it's a very difficult endeavor for France. Apparently, the information that the French are getting from the FARC are not quite what they appear to be. At some point, it was said that Ingrid Betancourt was very sick, even dangerously sick. Afterwards, Minister Kouchner said that she was better than thought. So it's difficult to know. But I think that the problem with Foreign Minister Kouchner is again to act as a kind of international mediator, and the clout that he has depends more on himself maybe than on France.
Now, I remind our viewers, Mr. Kouchner is the co-founder of Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. He's a very popular politician in France. He was a very a socialist heavyweight who then rallied to Sarkozy. Now, my question, has he found his place in this very broad government, knowing his background, former NGO activist?
Well, I think that obviously what was and probably still is Benard Kouchner's policy, his way of considering international relations, has not become France's policy, obviously. When we look at China, for instance, and the Tibet issue, obviously Minister Kouchner was sidelined in a way, and he has to deal with issues that are not the most difficult or the most important ones from the point of view of international trade and of economic, or of France's power, for instance, in Europe. As far as European issues are concerned, it's more Jean-Pierre Jouyet, who is a junior minister for European affairs, who is in charge rather than Kouchner. So Kouchner is more in charge with kind of symbolic stories or symbolic issues like Lebanon or Colombia. And he struck really a success with Darfur last year when he got the agreement at the Security Council in the UN to put together an interposition force and try to put an end to the slaughtering there in Darfur.
So Darfur, you said, is hailed as one of his major successes. You mentioned another dossier that's more complicated. It's Lebanon. Tell us a bit more about that one.
Well, there again, I mean, it's this Middle East is a place where France has a history, prestige of its own, but not really bargaining power. And so Benard Kouchner has been trying to reach a deal in Lebanon, and obviously it was not successful until now. As he said, it's not his fault, it's more the fault of the Lebanese, who postponed for the 18th time the election of the president. But Kouchner has friends on every side, in Lebanon and outside Lebanon. So that's where he's trying to use the prestige, or to restore maybe the prestige of France as kind of as protector of Lebanon, which actually France created after World War I.
A question, why isn't Mr. Kouchner in Tunisia today? We know President Sarkozy is there on an official visit. What does it really say about the distribution of the roles between the foreign ministry and the presidency?
Well, in the French system, the president is really the master of foreign policy and of diplomacy. And he has for that an aide and very important Sherpa in the Élysée Palace, who is Jean-David Lévy, former ambassador to Washington, who was already the Sherpa of President Chirac in the 1990s. So this is where the policy is decided. And Benard Kouchner is more kind of, wouldn't say freelance, but he's in a position of his own. And when some conflict might appear between his convictions, his personal views, and the views of the president, he's simply not there. That's the case with Tunisia.
Very shortly, do you think Mr. Kouchner is happy in this new position, a brand new position for him? Very quickly, we've got.
Well, he has been longing for years to become the head of the French diplomacy, the foreign minister. So I guess from that point of view, he's happy. But is he able to put in reality his convictions? That's the answer is partly yes, partly no.
Mr. Jarraud, thank you very much for your analysis. Thank you very much to you for having watched us. Stay tuned on France 24. Have a good day. Bye-bye.